My brothers and sisters, have you ever found yourself smiling when your heart was breaking just to keep someone else happy? Have you ever said yes when every part of you wanted to say no, only because you didn't want to upset anyone? We live in a time where being kind is often misunderstood. People will tell you, be nice, be soft, never say no. But what happens when that kindness starts to hurt you? When it starts to silence you? When it starts to distance you from Allah? Today I want to talk about something that's difficult, but very real. Stop being kind for the wrong reasons. Because not every act of kindness is rewarded, and not every smile is sincere. Some kindness is pure, done for Allah, but some kindness is just fear wearing a mask. The first thing we need to understand is this: be kind for Allah, not for people. That sounds simple, doesn't it? But in reality, it's one of the hardest lessons in life. Because from the time we're young, we're taught to be polite, to be nice, to make others happy, and that's good. That's part of good character. But somewhere along the way, many of us start being kind just so that people will like us. We smile because we don't want them to think we're rude. We help because we don't want them to be upset. We agree because we're scared of being rejected. And that, my brothers and sisters, is where kindness begins to lose its value. When you do something only to impress others, it's no longer for Allah. It becomes a performance. You're acting, not serving. And Allah doesn't need actors. He loves sincerity. He looks at your heart. He looks at your intention. You could give someone a single date with a sincere heart, and it might be more valuable than a man who donates mountains of gold just to be seen. When your kindness is for Allah, it doesn't matter whether people thank you or not. It doesn't matter whether they appreciate you or forget you, because Allah never forgets. He never fails to reward a single moment you acted with a pure heart. But when your kindness depends on how people react, you will always be disappointed, because people are unpredictable. One day they'll praise you, the next day they'll criticize you. One day they'll call you a saint, the next day they'll call you a hypocrite. If you live for their approval, you'll die from their rejection. Let me tell you something very real. There are people who are kind all the time. They help, they smile, they give, they sacrifice, and yet they go to bed at night feeling empty. Why? Because their kindness was never for Allah. It was for acceptance. They gave until there was nothing left of themselves, and still it wasn't enough. People took and took and took, and when they finally said, I can't anymore, those same people called them selfish. That's what happens when your kindness is tied to people. They will use it when it benefits them and abandon you when it doesn't. But when your kindness is tied to Allah, even if the whole world misunderstands you, you remain at peace. Because you know that the one who matters the most has seen you, has heard you, and will reward you. Think about it. How many times have you done something purely for Allah, and later when no one noticed, something beautiful happened in your life? A door opened, a problem resolved, a blessing arrived from nowhere. That's Allah saying, I saw it, you did it for me, and I never let that go to waste. But when you do it for people, when you want applause, likes, or validation, the only reward you'll get is the applause itself. And applause fades very quickly. People forget, algorithms change, attention moves elsewhere. If your heart was seeking that kind of attention, it will never rest. You see, sincerity, ikhlas, is a shield. It protects your kindness from turning into exhaustion. When you're sincere, you don't need recognition. You don't get offended when people don't say thank you. You don't start keeping score. I did this for them, but they never did anything for me. You just do it quietly, humbly, because you know that Allah's watching. And believe me, that peace is priceless. Sometimes Allah even hides your good deeds from people so that your intention stays pure. He knows that if everyone praised you, your heart might start seeking their attention instead of His. So don't be sad when your efforts go unnoticed. Allah noticed. That's enough. Let me share something that happens often. Someone helps their friend expecting gratitude. The friend doesn't show it, and suddenly the helper feels angry, betrayed. But wait, what were you really expecting? Were you helping them for Allah's sake, or were you helping them to feel appreciated? Because if it was for Allah, then you would have smiled and said, it's okay, Allah saw it. But if it was for them, then you'll feel hurt. The truth is, the moment you attach your kindness to people, you give them the power to control your peace. But the moment you attach it to Allah, you take that power back. You free yourself. Being kind for Allah means that your kindness doesn't depend on mood or reaction. You're not kind only when people are nice to you. You're kind because that's who you are. A servant of the most merciful. You reflect His mercy even when others don't. You do your best, then you leave the rest to Him. But don't misunderstand. Being kind for Allah doesn't mean letting others walk over you. It means doing the right thing for the right reason. Sometimes the kindest act is to say no. Sometimes it's to speak the truth. Sometimes it's to step away from a toxic situation. When you do that for Allah, not out of ego, but out of wisdom, it's still kindness. So how do you know whether your kindness is truly for Allah? Simple test. Ask yourself, if no one ever found out about this, would I still do it? If the answer is yes, then you're sincere. If the answer is no, then you're chasing approval. You see, the purest hearts are the ones that serve quietly. They don't announce every act. They don't post every good deed. They don't measure their worth by likes or comments. They find joy in knowing that Allah knows, and that's enough. And the amazing thing is, when you stop doing things for people, Allah puts barakah in what you do. You may help one person silently and Allah will make it reach hundreds. You may give one kind word and Allah will plant it in someone's heart like a seed that grows for years. You never lose when you act for Allah. You only lose when you expect from people. So my brothers and sisters, the next time you're about to help someone, pause for a second and whisper to your heart, this is for you, Ya Allah. When you smile, when you give, when you forgive, when you walk away, say, this is for you. That small shift of intention changes everything. Because the reality is, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but Allah never forgets how sincere your heart was when you did it. So yes, be kind, but don't be kind to please people. Be kind to please Allah. Because when you please Him, He will make the right people pleased with you and He will protect you from the wrong ones. Do it for Him and you will never be disappointed. My brothers and sisters, the second thing we must learn is this. Learn to say no when necessary. Now that might sound strange in a lecture about kindness, doesn't it? People expect a religious reminder to tell them, say yes, help everyone, keep smiling. But the truth is, sometimes the kindest thing you can do, even to yourself and to others, is to say no. You see, many of us are raised to believe that good Muslims never refuse. That being kind means agreeing with everyone, helping everyone, accepting every request, no matter what. But that's not what Islam teaches. Islam teaches balance, justice, wisdom. When you say no for the right reasons, with respect, you are not being rude, you are being responsible. Because real kindness is not about making everyone happy, it's about doing what is right in the sight of Allah. Sometimes people will ask for your time, your money, your energy, even your emotional strength, and you know deep down that you cannot handle it, or that it's not right, or that it will harm your peace. Yet you still say yes because you don't want to disappoint them. You don't want them to think you're unkind. But later you feel drained, resentful, maybe even angry. Why? Because you betrayed your own limits. When you constantly say yes out of guilt or fear, you're not showing kindness, you're losing yourself. You're allowing others to use your goodness as a tool. And the sad part is, the more you give in, the more they take. The more you bend, the less they respect your boundaries. And slowly your kindness becomes something they expect, not something they appreciate. That's why you must learn to say no, my brothers and sisters, politely, gently, but firmly. Because every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are saying no to something that could have nourished you, your prayer, your peace, your family, your rest. And you can't pour from an empty cup. The Prophet ﷺ was the kindest of all men. His heart was soft, his words were gentle, his hands were generous. But even he said no when it was needed. He didn't allow people to misuse his mercy. He forgave, but he corrected. He helped, but with wisdom. That's the example of true kindness. One that's guided by principle, not pressure. Sometimes people will make you feel guilty for saying no. They'll say, you call yourself religious, you call yourself kind, and you're refusing me. But don't let those words shake you. Remember, your accountability is before Allah, not before them. Allah knows your intentions. He knows your capacity. And He never expects you to destroy yourself in the name of helping others. Look at the verse where Allah says He does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. That applies not only to hardship, it applies to service too. You are not required to carry more than your heart can handle. Let me share something I've seen often. A person spends their whole life saying yes, yes to every request, every favor, every emotional demand, until one day they reach their limit, they break down, and suddenly everyone they help disappears. The same people who said, "You're so kind," are nowhere to be found. That's what happens when your kindness has no boundaries. Saying no does not mean you've stopped caring. It means you're caring with wisdom. Sometimes refusing someone is better for them in the long run. Imagine someone always relying on you for help instead of learning to rely on Allah. If you keep saying yes, you may be blocking their spiritual growth. But when you say no kindly, you teach them strength, responsibility, and independence. When you learn to say no, you protect not only your peace but your sincerity. Because when kindness becomes a burden, resentment follows, and resentment kills sincerity. You start helping with a heavy heart, thinking, they're using me, they never appreciate me. And then that kindness, which was supposed to be a form of worship, turns into frustration. But when you help freely, when you say yes only when your heart agrees, that's when your kindness becomes pure again. So how do you say no the right way? You don't have to be harsh. You don't have to justify yourself endlessly. You can simply say, "I'm sorry, I can't right now," or "I don't think I'm the right person for this." Say it with gentleness, with respect, but with confidence. People who truly value you will understand. Those who don't were never really valuing you, only what they got from you. And if someone becomes upset because you set a boundary, that shows they were benefiting from your lack of one. Let them go. Allah will replace them with people who respect your limits and still love you. Remember, my brothers and sisters, every no you say, for the right reason, creates space for a better. Yes, when you protect your time and your peace, you can serve Allah more sincerely, help people more effectively, and love more genuinely. Your heart is an amana, a trust from Allah. Don't hand it to anyone who makes you feel guilty.